Hey, Sean, you want to record a podcast?
Yeah, sure, Joe.
Everyone is part of the family at this point.
It didn't do my fan fiction idea that I had. So this movie was garbage.
What is this? You are a monster beyond all belief.
Put them all in the thing and let them do the thing. You know what I mean?
How? You're lucky to have me back.
You're never gonna get 60 million people because you're not a Super Bowl. Shut up!
So chaotic.
Welcome to the Guide to Movies podcast. I am Joe. He is Sean. Sean, how the hell are you?
I still have too much apple in my mouth.
That was a big bite. I could hear it.
I was like panically chewing during the credits.
I saw you. I thought you froze, but I saw your mouth just going.
Almost there. Almost there.
Well, listen. While you're finishing that, let's start with some exciting breaking news that we just spiffed or roofed on. Wow, riffed on.
Or spoofed on. I did it right.
Spoofed on. There you go.
Tried to make fun of you. I'm too good.
This is going to be great. Some breaking news.
This will be the episode from hell. I know it already.
Episode from hell. Just a disclaimer here. We are both very tired, I assume. I am still in a lot of pain from my surgery and on some medication. So I told Sean hours ago that this was going to be a real interesting episode. So we're going to have some fun here. Sean, let's start off talking about this Ryan Reynolds news that we just received. I'll play the video from the most important part, the intriguing part, because it is really funny. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, or if you're not sure what we were referencing in the opening, hopefully this will make things clear. A little bit of news coming out about the wonderful, I hope, Deadpool 3. Loading.
Another chance to bite my apple. This is good.
There you go. It's still loading. It is still loading. What is going on here? What are we doing here, TikTok? What are we doing? I said TikTok and I meant Twitter. What are we doing?
Oh, it's Twitter? That's probably why. No. Because Twitter.
It's so weird.
Ryan broke the internet with this news.
He really did. It's really not loading, which is hilarious. Oh, there's my face. Let me scroll down a little bit and get to the important part here. Not my scathing review of Blonde.
Yeah,
are you going to watch that tomorrow?
Probably. I am. I'm very curious about it.
All right, here we go.
But we did have one idea. Hey, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?
Yeah, sure, Ryan. That bastard knew what he was doing with that little eyebrow raise. He knew he was able to stop the world with this announcement.
He's a genius. He's freaking funny. And then I love that it said coming hewn.
Oh, did it really? I didn't even see that.
Coming hewn.
Oh my god.
So after saying that he was done with the character forever, and after Ryan Reynolds has been chasing Hugh Jackman to play Wolverine in a Deadpool movie, which is really funny considering that Deadpool was the villain of that horrible Wolverine solo film back in the day. It was confirmed tonight on the internet just like an hour ago that Hugh Jackman will play Wolverine in Deadpool 3 for the MCU. I'm thrilled about this. I was really excited telling everyone, texting everyone. Soups, I think, almost like lost his voice by screaming. So, it's good. But Sean, are you excited for this?
Yeah, I mean, this is something where it's just that simple. Where yes, this is perfect. This is one of the few breaking news bits and pieces there. I can't speak either, but this is going to be one of those breaking news bits where I'm okay with the fact that I'm going to see it everywhere and everyone's going to be, because this is actually that big of a deal. I mean, Deadpool has always made fun of Wolverine in these past other movies. He's constantly mocked him. and now it's just going to be done to his face. People are worried about it, like, this is a strange worry to have, but it's like, oh, it's not going to be like canon because, technically Wolverine died at the end of Logan. I'm like, yeah, well, that took place in like 2030 or 2040 or whatever it was. So it's in the future. This is now, so we can say it's that Wolverine character, but also this is Deadpool. So he's going to reference Logan. He's going to, like, this is not like, this is, I don't think Deadpool films can actually count as being canon because they are just like,
we have a multiverse.
And multiverse, yeah, we had that announcement too, or that quote unquote announcement that Feige said that Scarlet Witch is alive, but he didn't say that. He just said anything's possible, and then he just like went back into his shed.
The multiverse is like the ultimate like do-over for everything. Like, oh, we can do whatever we want. I'm excited. This is really exciting, mainly because I just love Hugh Jackman. I think that's well known here. Very, very big fan of Hugh Jackman and love him in the role. So excited to see him coming in because we know that there's going to be a comedic spin on it as well, given that it's Deadpool. And they have such great chemistry, in real life. I can't wait to see them on screen.
Genuinely, it's going to be, I really just hope, and I think this is going to be the case, Wolverine is going to play it straight completely. And that's exactly how you do this. Also, this is not a theory or anything wild, but this just shows right now that Hugh Jackman's running. He is running for Best Actor, and this is without a doubt part of it.
Good call.
Like, this is like one of the things where I see this announcement and I'm like, oh, he's putting himself in the limelight. Not that a starring role in Deadpool 3 is going to even like get you sniffing an Oscar, but it's going to get your name out there more. It's going to get you like people talking about you more. And I mean, like, this is the perfect time for this to come out.
Yeah, that's really smart. I didn't even think about that. Wow. Oh, geez. They know what they're doing, don't they?
They're way better at this than all of us.
They are way better at this than all of us. That's why they get paid the big bucks. All right, let's start with our trailers tonight. There's 2 trailers that I want to get your thoughts on here. The first, I know your thoughts on this because we texted about it as soon as it happened. This is M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin, and this stars Dave Bautista, Jonathan Groff, Rupert Grint is in this. I'm super excited for this because the trailer caught me by surprise when it was released, but also just was a genuinely terrifying trailer in the way that they ratcheted up the tension and the suspense there. My biggest complaint with M. Night Shyamalan movies is that sometimes he doesn't know how to finish. He's kind of like the Ryan Murphy of mystery movies. But and especially with Old, I just didn't love Old. I didn't love everything that had going for it. This is based on a novel, so that gives me a little bit more hope. But I'm just very excited for this. I really like the trailer. I thought it was very well done, and this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie that I'm really looking forward to.
I love Shyamalan movies, their existence mainly, actually, more than their quality. I love the debates that are spurred. I love how crazy and, in a lot of times, sometimes bad they can get. But one thing I really dislike about Shyamalan movies is that the dialogue is always terrible. But then you have to think about when will that transcend? Like, I could even argue like Sixth Sense, the dialogue is not that good. But everything else in the Sixth Sense absolutely like transcends that completely. Yeah. And I think this is one of those where that's going to work. This is borrowing a lot from a ton of other horror movies. I mean, this is Funny Games. This is Straw Dogs. This is Us, Strangers. Even in some definitely Strangers and stuff. And so with that, like, I'm okay with that. Obviously I hope this is some sort of cultish kind of thing, because then I'm just really in, because I just love all cult horror movie kind of crazy stuff.
Oh, okay, good. I thought you were gonna be like, I love cults.
No, I actually kind of do. Not like I'm fascinated by them because any documentary with cults, I'm in, because I'm just like,
that's why you're in the film
this
community.
Happen? Yeah, dude,
it's a cult.
That is absolutely it. Dave Bautista looks like he's acting his ass off, and I'm happy for him. I'm always happy when Bautista's there, because I think he's great. Someone on Twitter had the great thing. It's like, whenever you see Bautista in tiny glasses, he's playing a good performance, like this in Blade Runner, which I thought was like, I'm like, spot the lie. Like, I'm in for it.
I love that.
Shyamalan is always like fun to watch, even when his movies aren't good. There's always something interesting there. Like the fact that this is going to be the apocalypse worries me, because then it's just like, oh God, what's he gonna do with that? Like, what's gonna happen with that? So I hope it's not actually the apocalypse and there's just some dumb crap happening with these people. But either way, this is exciting.
It's really funny you say that because I was thinking this right off the bat when I saw the trailer that like, oh, there's not an apocalypse happening. Like that's my initial thought is these guys are like in a cult. They think it's going to happen. It's kind of like, the QAnon people that thought September 24th was when aliens were coming down and shit like that. But but then I also want them to go forward with an apocalypse. Like like with M. Night Shyamalan, we're trained to suspect something is not as it presents itself, the village and stuff like that. So I like the whole time I'm probably going to be like, oh yeah, there's not an apocalypse. And then if it actually does happen, like I'll be like, oh wow.
This is exactly how I feel about Ready or Not. Because when they like at the very end, when Dawn happened, I said to myself, oh, it's going to be really, really funny if it turns out to be all bullshit. Then it was still awesome when they all exploded. But like, I really, really was hoping, like, if this is all bullshit, that would be the funniest ending ever. But it still turned out awesome. But, oh, God.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I think if I am not mistaken, that was February of next year of 2023 that's coming out, Knock at the Cabin.
That would be good. I like that for a Shyamalan movie because it's just, people aren't expecting a lot. Like, they're not really, like, Old was tough because Old was, like, I think in August. And so it's kind of like, it was like, it had the summer high. And so I think a lot of people saw it and it kind of boiled over and didn't really work. With a February, that's great. That's a very like, low key opening. No one else is going to be around. No one's going to be at the theater. People are seeing Oscar movies at that time. So it'll just be like, boom, right there.
Yeah. February 3rd. The other big trailer that released yesterday is the first trailer for the video game adaptation of The Last of Us. This is a series that's coming to HBO. It is one that was met with so much anticipation. I feel like people have been waiting for this. It's a beloved game. One of the things I like that it has going for it is that the video game's creator is involved, which wonderful. Like that's a smart move there. And it stars Pedro Pascal. What are your thoughts on this, Sean?
I don't have, excuse me. I don't have many thoughts on this, mainly because I don't like play any video games. And so right off the bat, when the people were like, The Last of Us is going to be made into a TV show, I was like, cool. Is it a book? So I had no idea. I do know a little bit about this, where I know that this is a video game with a very, very strong narrative already. I've seen some trailers of it and I was like, okay, what do you actually do as a video game here? Because it seems like it's just a straight up movie. And I like, so in that regard, I think, they're bringing in the original creator. Also, Craig Mazin, who did Chernobyl, is involved in this.
Yeah, that's
already
right.
It's like, okay, you made that masterwork. You do whatever you want, my guy. Give him the money and let's go. Just to be, I did not look it up on IMDb, but that's Pedro Pascal, obviously. That's the young girl that plays Liana Mormont, who's very, very talented.
Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey, yes. And was that Melanie Linsky that I saw?
That's a great question.
I could be. I feel like they would have. I mean, they didn't highlight anyone's names, but now
I'm not seeing her name on here.
Shoot, maybe it wasn't. That's interesting.
Nick Offerman's in the cast apparently.
Wow.
Storm Reed, Gabriel Luna.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so yeah. I mean, I'm into it. The monster that was in for like 2 seconds looked really cool. I mean, I can't say that like I'm too passionate about this. Which, by the way, that either means that I'm going to hate this and everyone else is going to love it, or I'm going to love it and everyone else is going to hate it. So psyched to see me just really go against the wind on that one.
I didn't feel any excitement from this trailer. To be honest, I just felt like I feel like this is a rehash. It's not a rehash of shows that we've already seen, but it's in the same vein as a lot of these post-apocalyptic shows, whether it's post-outbreak because of a virus or, it's focused on zombies or monsters or whatever it may be. I just feel like we've seen this before. It's definitely going to have a following because of the video games and how beloved they are. But I just, for the casual viewer, I wonder what it has to offer that is going to differentiate it from so many things that have been already released.
That's a good way to think about it. I love the idea, though, of Pedro Pascal just constantly having a very young and small co-star between this and Mandalorian. It's just like, let's keep this going. Like, I bet he got it because of that.
Well, at least this one's real.
Yeah, that's true. Last time it was a puppet. This is an actual human. That's true.
All right, so we have a really weird episode tonight because there wasn't a lot of movie news, really not much movie news at all in the past week. So what we're going to do is dive into what we've been watching, and both of us have been watching a good amount of content, it looks like. But then we're also going to talk about our top let me correct that. Our most anticipated movies for the remainder of the year. I originally had proposed 5, and then I ended up with 7. And I think you ended up with 8.
Yep, I got
it. So I was like, numbers don't work for us. But let's start off with what we've been watching, and the one that we both saw this last week was "Don't Worry, Darling." And of course, this is the one that arguably the drama prior to the movie and leading up to the release was just as enticing, if not more so, than the actual film itself. This starred Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, as well as a director, Olivia Wilde. Sean, I didn't love this. I was going back and forth when I was writing my review. When I saw this, I was very intrigued by Florence Pugh's performance. I love Florence Pugh. I think she can act the shit out of any role that she's given. And I really she's one of those that I can't wait to be 20 years older and looking at what she's doing and just growing up with this talent, because she's just phenomenal. I didn't think Harry Styles did a great job opposite her. I don't know that he is someone that I would consider a solid actor. He tries, but there's a whole scene in this movie where he is in the car when Florence Pugh is kind of being taken, spoiler a little bit, and he's yelling and screaming and crying and yelling "fuck," and I just started giggling. Because
so did all the teenage girls in my theater.
Oh my god! And at the end of the day, it's an intriguing film that I think borrows a lot from other films as well. I mean, it's The Village and The Stepford Wives wrapped into a more modern Minority Report type film. Really, that
Matrix,
one just came to mind.
I mean,
Matrix.
So much
it's but I guess I didn't hate that. My biggest complaint about it is that it all unfolds in the last 20 minutes, and it by the time we are getting to the point where Florence Pugh's character of Alice is recognizing what's happening and starting to get some answers, the film's over.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me because I felt like it cut itself short and it kind of wallowed in a little bit more than it should have of some of the other stuff. But then at the same time, I don't know what they would have cut out. I think they just needed maybe another 20 minutes to really let this thing blossom. One of my favorite scenes, though, is the dinner party scene, because it is just another masterclass of one person commanding a room, and Florence Pugh is going off, and even Chris Pine opposite her in that scene. He was. I'm not a fan of Chris Pine usually. Mm-hmm. I mean, I like him in things like Star Trek. I love him in that role of Kirk, but I just did not. I'm usually a little frustrated with his performances, but this just fits so well. But it's funny because what was that other one? All the Old Knives. Was that what
even that one? He was pretty bland.
And I actually really liked him in that, which is funny, So it's just kind of interesting with him. But all in all, I felt like this movie was a disappointment. I wanted more from it, and unfortunately, it didn't totally deliver. Aside from Pugh.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of feel the same way. This is one where I enjoyed myself during it. I truly did, and it's one of the few movies I went out to see with my wife. Usually, I go to the theaters alone, and my wife is never going to see a movie again in theaters because she was very pissed off by all the people that were screaming every time Harry Styles came on the scene. To echo pretty much what you said. Yeah, this movie does only realize itself a lot later, and then with all the revelations that occur, they were very lacking, and they didn't make a lot of sense based on it. I'm not going to question the logic of a sci-fi movie. Right. I won't do that, but still it made me really try to fight me against that rule, because there were some moments where I was just like, okay, this is actually just being nonsensical even in a nonsensical world. I didn't see that exact twist coming, but I did see the twist coming. It's oh, you're in a fanciful world where you're not allowed to leave that area. I wonder what that means. It's just there's it telegraphed a little bit too much. I agree with you on Florence Pugh. I was very surprised also by Chris Pine. I was blown away. He was, because his role he's a one-dimensional character. There's nothing to his character at all, and so he doesn't have to work that hard in there. But he still does a great job with it, including that dinner scene where he's kind of he's sort of gaslighting. He's flubbing it. He's like, no, I want to see it. He wanted that challenge. It was very then there's just all of these little things that just don't make any sense, which is a just a shame.
Wait, real quick, Sean. This is an audio podcast, and people can't see it, but you just did exactly what he was doing the whole movie with the.
I want to hear where she's going with this.
Yeah, like
no, it's
continue.
okay. Like those are the villains I love, where it's just like, no, it's okay, keep talking. Like, I love that. And then just to point out the Harry Styles thing, the guy was really, really trying. He was trying so hard, but he was an actor in a sea of movie characters. Like, you just saw that he was like, you saw him emoting in all the different ways and like trying to emote in all the different ways. And it was just a little bit lower on the scale than everyone else. I'm worried about My Policeman now, because I heard that's more of a showcase for him. And I'm like, oh boy, I hope he's just okay at least. Because, I don't know. Yeah, this movie asked a lot more of that kind of character and like couldn't get it. And I thought it was interesting because I wanted to make fun of him for like, sometimes he had the American accent, sometimes he had the British accent. And then I was like, oh, that was actually a choice. Okay.
Well, that's so funny because at one point I was like, is he supposed to be sounding British here? And then at one point, I think maybe it's Chris Pine's character says like, what do you Brits call it? And I'm like, okay, good. Like, that's supposed to be.
I think the best moment was Timothy Simons that said that, Jonah from Veep.
Yeah.
And I think the greatest moment is like, Sam and I are in that theater and we are like 30 years older than everyone there. And like all of them are screaming whenever Harry Styles came on. And then whenever we saw Jonah, we were just like, Jonah! Yeah. Like, it was great to see him there.
The one actor in the film that I would have liked to seen more of, and it's come out after that she was cut from a lot of the film, is Kiki Lane. She's kind of like the linchpin that once removed, everything starts folding in on itself for Florence Pugh. And I wanted to see more of her because she was very intriguing. But at the same time, I think Chris Pine's character and even Jonah's character, was very intriguing and interesting to me. Where someone had made a comment was like, I wonder where the sequel would go. And I was like, there's no way there would ever be a sequel. However, if there was to be an exploration of this story in any other medium or maybe a series or whatever, I would love to learn more about how Victory came to be, and more about Chris Pine. And I think there's so much more that could have been developed to really even make the whole situation that much creepier.
That would actually be better, because maybe it would like answer some of the questions that I have with it. Like, because it's just like at some point, like it is truly the Matrix where Florence Pugh becomes Neo. And it's just like, okay, wait, what is happening now? How was that able? Like, they did not make enough connections, and it was just a little bit too. And once again, it's sci-fi, so it's like, oh well, it's because of the whatever device, and it's like, okay, fine, like I'll take that, but I at least need that. Like, give me some explaining away.
Well, like the plane. Right? Like, here's a little bit of a spoiler. What the fuck was the plane about?
Nothing. There was nothing there. I think it like. Because I guess that was just her mental thing, but like, what, I don't know, man. It was, but
it could have been something like a failure of the program or a failure of someone trying to hack it, or like, I don't like, maybe that was Kiki Lane's character outside of it trying to like reveal.
She was holding a plane. That was like at one point, and so
right. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just very much.
Now I'm getting more mad at it. The more I think about it.
I think the last thing I want to say about it is it definitely tries to tap into a feminist message and a focus on sort of the toxic masculinity overtaking the desires of the female partner and all of that. And I don't think it did a good job of it. I think it kind of like fumbled any message that it was trying to communicate, which is, take that along with the disaster that was the press tour for this, and all the publicity that Olivia Wilde really, I think, fumbled a lot of her on her own. It just didn't work. And I'd be very interested to see where Olivia Wilde goes from here in terms of directing.
I think her direction was not terrible in this. It looked good. It was very interesting. It was a huge, ambitious project. I think when you hear any interview from her, you just immediately facepalm. It's just it just sounds like, like I wanted to bring these four movies into, and it's just like, oh, buddy, like I understand you want to do influences and stuff, but it sounded worse than like I could imagine. It sounded like someone like pretending to do a movie.
I want to know what was cut, Because if Kiki Lane is out there saying that she was in a lot more of it, I'm assuming that there's a lot of other stuff that's cut. And not to get into this whole like I want to see a director's cut shit, but it just baffles me that like Olivia Wilde read the script as was presented on screen and was like, "Yep, that's the one."
Oh, there's a chance that could have happened though. Part of me, I don't know, but we'll see.
I don't know. A little bit ambitious after Booksmart, but
Yeah.
Weird direction for her. All right, so I guess we can just go back and forth, Sean, with what we've been watching because we've been watching a lot of shit. I'm going to start off with Blonde. This is I'm fresh on my mind because I actually just wrote this review tonight. Blonde is the fictionalized biopic, which right off the bat is not my favorite thing when it's a fictionalized biopic, but it is Marilyn Monroe. Norma Jean is her birth name, and it stars Ana de Armas. Right off the bat, let's get to the positive. Ana de Armas is fantastic in this. She's wonderful. She captures Marilyn Monroe in terms of visual essence, but also, I think, personality to an extent. And to understand that, and I won't get into too much on because I know that, I mean, you know the general thoughts of like how people are.
Yeah, the reaction was pretty much where you were, I think.
It's a very fetishized film. It really focuses on the trials and tribulations and the using and abusing of Marilyn Monroe, but doesn't do anything with it. It's more like just snapshots of that. And I'm just kind of baffled by where the director wanted to take this. What was the point of showing all this? Because if you just take it for face value, and again, it's like a 2 hour and 40-some minute movie. It's overly bloated and it shouldn't have been that long. But if you just take what you see, you don't leave it with anything but disgust, a feeling of disgust over what you just saw and how she was treated. So if that's the intent, sure, great, wonderful. But I don't understand what the point of the film is then. So I really struggled with this one. I felt kind of dirty after watching it. It's just a baffling movie. I've used that in my social reaction. I used it in the review, and that's just the term that keeps coming to mind. It is baffling, some of the decisions and choices that were made around this. What should have been something that we were probably all celebrating, because it is a larger than life star who died all too soon at the age of 36. But it is just really, really strange. I would not recommend it.
Yeah. I'm checking it out on sheer morbid curiosity at this point.
Yeah.
I'm also curious to see Ana de Armas. But yeah, there's nothing about this that makes me scream it's going to be good. I saw something very interesting. I saw the documentary Moon Age Daydream, or I should say, it's known as the Documentary Experience. Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I normally would feel like an idiot saying that, but this is actually more of a documentary experience. This isn't like, something where there's a bunch of talking heads of their parents and their cousins and their sisters and brothers and stuff saying like, David was born in blah, 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 blah. We don't have that here. Like, this is literally just several different live footage of concerts intercut with David Bowie's own interviews. And those interviews do relate to the musical performances that are had. So right off the bat, I'm like sort of loving this. It goes a bit too long, 2 hour, 15 minutes. Like, I was kind of like standing up at the very end. I was like, okay, come on, let's go. This is an insane documentary. And the reason documentary experience is good is because you're not really educated as much. You just experience David Bowie for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And that sounds so freaking pretentious, but when you see it, it makes sense. Yeah. You will love this if you're a David Bowie fan. If you are not a David Bowie fan, run the other way and run as fast as you possibly can, because it's insane. It is I will not recommend anybody do a list of materials before this. However, if you have an altered state of mind during this, you'll probably understand it a little bit more, because it was very, very psychedelic, very sporadically made, and I kind of appreciated that as much as it also made my head hurt.
Sean, it kind of reminds me of the Sparks Brothers a little bit.
It's, I will say, slightly better than that, only because like the Sparks Brothers was the it was just every album, and it was like you sort of knew what was coming. Album this, album that. And it was like the dates were there and everything. This, it's like, a song happens, there's some stuff that happens, and yeah, you do sort of see the page breaks slightly, but it's a little like, like Sparks Brothers, it was like freaking subtitle page breaks every single time. But this is just ever so slightly you see it, and it's kind of wonderful. It's great. I'm very happy I saw it in the theater. But yeah, just for me, it was just a little. I don't like complaining about runtimes, which I've been doing again lately. But like this one, just you felt that length a little bit.
We've been getting that a lot though lately. Like a lot of these films that are coming out are really pushing the runtime. Speaking of, by the way, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is rumored to be 2 hours and 41 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like once again, I will say if you entertain me for that long, it like make it 5 hours. I will watch something for 5 hours. Now this was just something where it's like this was really cool. I wouldn't have minded an hour 40. Like, it would have been a lot cooler if because it started to like get to the point where I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. We're doing like intercuts of different silent movies and stuff, and then I felt pretentious because I was calling them all out. But
yeah,
but now it's like, okay, I need to get out of here.
Well, I want to talk about Bros a little bit. That comes out this Friday. I talked about it a little bit last week, and all I'll say this week about it is, after sitting with it for a little while, I really did love this movie. It was. Hold on, I'm getting my Rita's Water Ice delivered. Yeah, it is one that I really loved. So it's the first gay romantic comedy from a major film studio, and this was written by and co-written by and stars Billy Eichner. It features a predominantly LGBTQ plus cast, which is also brilliant, and it's a film that balances a lot of like in your face stupid humor, but then also in between those moments and in between some other jokes has a lot of really great poignant moments and poignant messages. And it's something that I really am kind of in awe of how they were able to infuse it all together. So it is a rom-com. It's a romantic comedy. It definitely has the telltale signs of a romantic comedy, but I think just in terms of the representation that it showcases, it really does take the rom-com in a different direction. As someone who identifies as a gay man, it's a comfort piece in a lot of ways. I said in my review that it features a lot of references to horrors and frustrations and unbelievable moments that come from dating in the community, whether that's Grindr or other online dating apps, or meeting at a bar and stuff like that. It's just really funny to see that all played out on screen, but it also kind of like feels like a warm hug in a lot of ways, where it's kind of like either like, yep, we excuse me, getting choked up. In a lot of ways where like it like grabs you and it says like, yep, like I've been there too. I've dealt with this bullshit, and it is crazy and people won't believe it, and it sucks, but keep powering through. And it definitely has like some of the moments of that you get in most rom-coms, like, and of course like it is a happy ending ultimately, so you're going to get there the same way that most rom-coms do. But it's just, to me, it's one of the best in recent memory, and I think it's honestly one of the best movies of the year because it's just very honest.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that, and you're kind of seeing that echoed from a lot of different people that are seeing this. It's currently at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and they've been pushing this movie out and screening it for weeks now. So I think that's wonderful, and I'm so glad to see that Billy Eichner delivered on the promise that he made when he said he was making this movie.
It upsets me that this movie has to be this good to be accepted. It's like the Obama effect, where Obama had to be like, as charming as he was, or as qualified as he was to become president. It's like, where then the next guy, but like it's one of those things where it's the same deal with this. It's like, oh yeah, if this were like not good, or not even that, if it were average, there'd be nothing bad would happen. Like, gay Hollywood wouldn't get shut down, if that's a thing.
That's just called Hollywood.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, why did I do that redundancy? But I love that this is actually that good, and I love that it's like gonna help, like, as we've talked about, other movies are happening as well. Like I believe it's called Guncle.
The Guncle.
And like TV's been doing it quite a while now. Uncoupled was like a very like pretty solid Netflix comedy, and that was literally like, I like to say it. It wasn't made for me. Now they'll obviously, the creators of that and the creators of Bros are going to fight you on that and say, no, straight people should see it too, and they should. But it's not made for me. It's made for me to begin to like discuss like or see a perspective that I haven't seen before. Thankfully, I watch enough movies and TV that I at this point I have seen this perspective before, but I'll see more of it. Like, I'll see more. I'll learn more. I think that's like the best part. This is going to be my Thursday movie. It was between this and Smile, and it's like, yeah, kind of a no-brainer. I mean, I want to see Smile too, but this is kind of a no-brainer.
Smile's getting really good reviews.
Fuck yes, I'm so happy. That bonkers movie is getting good reviews. I love it.
Did you, by the way, with Smile, did you see the viral marketing that they're doing at baseball games?
No, what are they doing?
They literally have people on the national telecast sitting behind home plate, just standing there, smiling, and it's brilliant. I'll find a picture when you're talking about your next one. It's brilliant. But the last thing I'll say about Bros is just that I do think that it is something that anyone will like. I mean, it is a gay story, and yes, there's a lot of moments where it's going to connect differently to people that have experienced similar things. But that's movies. That's anything. I think they do a really good job of making this a very open and what's the word I'm looking for? Not acceptable. Welcoming. It's welcoming, and it'll play to any audience because it's really, 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 really fun.
There's no doubt in my mind, and I'm just so excited for it in that regard. All right, I lost my outline. I think next for me was The Woman King. All right, so The Woman King. Gina Prince Bythewood is the director of our generation, man. Oh man, this movie was awesome. It was just such a cool, kick-ass action movie. I really loved the performances. Lashana Lynch has this comedic demeanor, really well done. Viola Davis does something very interesting here where she just straight up, she's the lead, obviously. She's the movie star of this. But she kind of goes into the background for this and lets the story play, lets the visuals play. The visuals on this are unbelievable. I love that Gina Prince Bythewood at this point is just taking larger swing after larger swing and just keeps on rising up. And I just want her to keep on going there. Also, someone who is Tuso Mbedu, apologies for mispronunciation if it was there, was really exceptional. And she was also exceptional in Underground Railroad, which... God, what a performance in that. So it's okay, she's becoming someone just huge beyond all belief. Pretty much this was a little bit of it felt a little long again, which I'm hating that I'm doing that. This one, sometimes the scenes didn't flow terribly well together. Let's not have John Boyega do a speech at the end. Don't get me wrong, I love John Boyega, and I think he was pretty good in this, but it's he's talking out the morals of this thing. And I was like, okay, my guy, just give her the title and let's move on here. Come on. But other than that, by that tiniest complaint, I was so close to giving this an A, but I couldn't get that out of my head. So I was like, okay, just the highest B ever, which if Matt were here right now, he'd say, well, I wonder if there's a grade you can give it's slightly higher as a B. And I'm like, don't do pluses and minuses. Shut up, Matt.
I can hear Matt saying that.
Oh God, every time.
No notes. Totally agree with you on all that.
Yeah.
Here, let's
go for it.
What's that?
Go for it. No, I was done.
No, it's a fun. I mean, you're exactly right. I think with everything you said, the visuals were just stunning, and everyone involved with it was so good. And I think that's what was really remarkable to me. All right, so here is what's going on with the Smile marketing.
This is where people get punched in the face. This is
just one example, by the way, because the article I just pulled up had 17 different examples.
Oh my God, I gotta look this up later too. But
all right, ready?
That's of 11 games, including this one.
Oh, come on. The shirt says Smile as well.
With a victory, Reese Hoskins homered and drove in 4. Aaron
my God.
6 scoreless innings for the win.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant. So good. But that is when you scare people, you get ready to get punched and all that stuff. And if you're doing something this. Smiles are going to scare me after. I'm so excited to see that movie. It's going to be so bonkers.
Yeah, I can't wait. I go tomorrow night. Hopefully, if I can drive, if my leg works. Let's talk about Lou for a moment. Did you watch Lou?
No, it's once the apps come around to Netflix again, I'll probably put it on.
I can't with you. Lou is a action movie that is on Netflix starring Allison Janney. Allison Janney is essentially an old CIA officer, and what happens is a woman who lives on her who she rents a part of her property to. Her daughter gets kidnapped, and she goes to help her. That's very vague. I won't get into the details of it. This was just a messy movie. It was very forgettable. It was very boring in a lot of ways. It tries to do a lot, but it feeds you the plot, and I didn't like that at all. I hate when a movie's like, why is that person doing that? Well, it must be because that one time, blah 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 blah. I'm like, what? Okay, great. I really didn't love it. It's not the worst movie.
You're my sister. I love you.
There's some good action in it. And I love Allison Janney, but this just was not the vehicle for her to go full action on. She also has a way of delivering lines very coldly, and it works in like some of her previous roles. Like, you want to talk about The West Wing, you want to talk about Mom,
Craig,
yeah. But it doesn't work here. It like, she would say something, and it like it was almost as if like you heard period in your head, right? Like, she said something and it was like period. Next, like, moving on. Next line. Flip the page. I didn't love it. I mean, there's some really strange plot twists to it that, sure, okay, they work, I guess, but I just wasn't into it.
Yeah, I like when you told me about this, I looked it up because you said I'm watching Lou right now, and I thought you meant the Louis C.K. show on FX. That's a hell of a choice, my guy. So I was like very confused, and then I looked it up and I saw that it was this, and I was like, oh, Allison Janney is an ex-CIA operative. This should be golden. Like, yep. And this is what Netflix does: is they have these exceptional ideas with these exceptional people involved, and then every single one stumbles. It's kind of maddening that this keeps on happening. Like, the Gray Man is, for instance, that one is just one that's like, oh my god, we have Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. Like, this is gold. This is gold. This is gold. And I had fun, but like,
the Gray Man is a masterpiece compared to this.
Oh no, oh boy, oh no. All right, well, I'll do my next thing, which is do revenge. Look at this. I'm doing the segues now.
Come for my gig.
This might be the surprise hit for me of the year, because I like clicked this on just I was like, okay, it's 9:00. I'm like not tired at all. Let me just try do revenge. Maya Hawke is in this, as well as the member of Gossip Girl, Camila Mendez. Oh, that could be wrong, but it's these two. It is a take back to the 90s teen movies without trying to be a take back to the 90s teen movies. Because we've seen a lot of movies try to do that desperately, truly desperately. And this is one where I am like very impressed that it did it with great subtleties, with amazing style. I liked this movie a lot. I will say that I think that my one issue with this one is that it wrapped up a little bit too nicely, where I was like, oh boy. Like, there's things that happen in this movie where it's like you can't come back from this, and they do somehow. But Do Revenge is one where like truly anyone could enjoy this movie. I will say Maya Hawke is like, it's kind of like Gene Hackman in Enemy of the State. The movie begins to pick up when Gene Hackman shows up. The same thing with this movie. Like, her energy is just amazing. She is just Uma Thurman now. So we all just need to accept that. Like when you see her, I'm like, oh, that's Uma Thurman. Cool. That's just what this is. And I'm okay with it. Like, it's this different, like she's Uma Thurman. She's got the smoky voice though, which is a little bit different. And it's like something that I absolutely love. And I'm blown away by how good she is in this. It's a fun movie. Is it cynical about the next generation? A little bit. But it makes fun of the next generation, not in the same way Senior Year did, but in a way where it's just like, it's not as like cloying or as like annoying or as high horse-ish, if you will. But I like this movie quite a bit.
What did you give it?
I gave it a B.
Give it a B. Wow.
I was like clicking this one, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's see what you got here, and I was kind of blown away.
Unbelievable. All right, I want to talk about two things real quick. One I'm just going to touch on. Dahmer is the Netflix series that stars Evan Peters. It's a Ryan Murphy show about Jeffrey Dahmer. Also co-stars Niecy Nash, who I just love that Niecy Nash is having this like third act of her career.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's everywhere, and I love it. She's so funny, and it's so nice to see that kind of like the supporting role in Reno 911. Who was, the she was reduced to a caricature in a lot of ways. Like she
Yeah.
was like, you know, the black woman with the large ass who's funny as shit. Just ended up really taking off, and she's solid in everything that she does. But just with Dahmer, I'm not done the series yet. I still have a couple more episodes. I'm loving it. It's very oddly, you and I were texting about this. It's very oddly structured, and you'll see once you get further, kind of like how it all plays together. I'm really kind of bought into the way that they structured it. After seeing what I've seen, I will tell you, and if people have watched it, they know this. Episode 6 gutted me. It was just such a good hour of television that I really believe that I want to be involved in Sam's conversation right now, because I can hear it. No,
I knew it. I knew it was that loud. Yeah, she's got people over.
Oh, you're fine. But just thanks for the invite. Anyway, so but yeah, it's really good. The 6th episode, I think, is one that I could see being nominated for an outstanding hour of television. Like it's absolutely wonderful. So I'll talk about that more in the future, and because I know that you're at a different point than I am in the series, and we can discuss when we wrap it up. I'll probably be done in 2 days, but you have to wait for your cycle to come around about 7 more times.
It'll be a couple of months. Yeah.
But the last thing I want to touch on real quick, and I didn't put this on the outline, I watched a short film last night, a 10-minute film called Parrot. And this is a film that was brought to my attention from by someone I know in the city in Philadelphia, who is a drag queen, and has been a drag queen in the city and a staple forever, has done so much good in the city in terms of breaking down barriers, building inroads to, like, you know, the Mummers Parade, if you're familiar with the New Year's Mummers Parade in Philadelphia. Really doing a lot for kids, raising a lot of money for charities and stuff like that. The drag queen's name is Brittany Lynn, but I know him as Ian. Well, Ian starred in this short film, and the premise of the short film is that they are doing drag queen story time at a local library, and a protester comes in with a gun and starts shooting. And it's, you know, what's really scary about it is on the news today, there was a report about how there were armed protesters outside a drag queen story time last night. So it is something that is happening. But the film, I just really loved it. And, you know, full disclosure, I know Ian. So I was probably going to like feel a certain way about it anyway. But I was saying to someone last night that I get so nervous if I know someone involved, because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, you were good, but like XYZ. But I told him this last night. I was very impressed not only with the delivery of the dialogue, but the nonverbal acting, which is always very important, especially in a dramatic film like this. And the little kid that plays the main kid was fantastic. It's just an all-around good film, and I think this just continues my trend of loving short films right now. I'm like all about the short film and what people can do with such a small amount of time. It's really great. I think they're talking about putting it on Amazon in the future. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. I just loved it, and it's a shame that it's inspired by true events, but it is inspired by true events.
That's a shame. That's actually really horrible.
Yeah.
So my last one to end on a complete downer is the Hulu limited series Mike, which is based on Mike Tyson. And this is
Mike Tyson.
It's terrible. Like this is.
Is it that bad?
It's really bad. So this is the people this is Craig Gillespie, who did I, Tonya. And I, Tonya does a good job with like the fourth wall breaking, and it's kind of fun. They all like kind of break the fourth wall. They look at the camera while they're doing stuff, and they're like, by the way, I never did this and stuff. They do that to like an unbelievable degree in this one, to the point where it just like, you know, it's meant to take you out of it, I guess, but it completely takes you out of it. There's like, it's so like sporadically done that you can't even like make heads or tails of you know, not which character is which, but you don't get any character development at all. They don't give Mike a free pass based on like, you know, his like rape trial and, you know, well, guilty verdict and everything like that. They don't give a free pass to that, but they do give some sort of weird redemption arc at the end, which even if that didn't happen, it's still weirdly unearned and like is rushed. And like, this is just something where I was kind of blown. Like I wrote the review. I think I'm giving this thing an F. I don't even Trevante Rhodes, who like I love as an actor, is like kind of doing like too many like Mike Tyson affectations where, I don't like the phrase like this feels like more of an impression than a performance, but it doesn't even seem like a good impression. Like there's a lot to this that is just not great. And I was like very surprised. I was like, not that I expected anything like spectacular, but I was just kind of blown away by like how this just missed the mark on everything. And, Mike Tyson has come out saying he does not approve of this, which usually means it's great, which usually means it's like legitimate to the story and everything. I love when actors say that. But in this case, I was just like, no, I dislike this one.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Half-hour drama too, which I don't know what that, we could say whatever we want with that, but that just felt weird because like, it's supposed to be a comedy because not much about it. This is comedic, even though that tone is taken sometimes. I don't know.
I also just had like no interest in it.
Yeah.
When I saw the preview. So thanks for taking one for the team there. Just like a friend of mine, another critic friend of mine watched The Munsters and said it was absolutely horrendous. So I'm like, thanks for taking one for the team.
That's going to be a tough one for me. It's like, do I really want to go there? And it's like, I kind of like watching them sometimes. I like to see I sat through freaking Pinocchio. So
Oh my God. All right. So in lieu of a lot of the news that we usually cover, given that there really wasn't any news aside from the Hugh Jackman joining Deadpool 3 that we covered at the top of the show, we had the idea of talking about what our most anticipated movies are for the remainder of the year through December. It's kind of crazy to think that we're almost finished September already. That's scary. But let's dive into this. I didn't really rank them.
Neither did I. No, I can't do that yet. Yeah.
I can tell you what my number one is.
Go for it.
You probably know what my number one is.
I think it is. Is it The Sun?
It's The Sun. I'm very excited about Florian Zeller's The Sun, with starring Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, Vanessa Kirby, Anthony Hopkins is in it, I believe. I can't wait for it. I'm so excited. And I believe that comes out in November 11th, actually, the day before my birthday. So very pumped.
Designed in a lab for you. When they kept on announcing the casting of that, I was like, Jesus, Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, and Vanessa Kirby, get the hell out of here.
It was a great day.
No, I'm worried about this movie, not like in terms of, well, maybe in terms of the reception at the festivals wasn't great. And I think like part of the problem was, and this is just what it's going to be for this poor guy, Zeller, is that like everyone's like, well, it wasn't The Father. I'm like, well, The Father was a miracle. Like that thing is amazing. So like, are you really going to go after that? But so I think for that it's tough. Although I think like Hugh Jackman is still coming out with a nomination.
It's also a very different story. So yes, I feel like
exactly.
I don't know.
But all right, so my top one on here. I want to see if you can get. I'm a little bit more about it. I want to see if you can guess my top one.
I honestly cannot with you.
Yeah. This is tough. I wasn't too vocal about this one.
The Menu?
No, I actually didn't put The Menu on here, but The Menu is one I am interested in, without a doubt.
That's
so
on my list.
My top one is Tar.
Yeah,
this is the Todd Fields movie who did In the Bedroom and Little Children and then stopped doing movies for like 20 friggin' years. And now comes out with what seems to be the most like fascinating and loved movie from the festival, which means it's loved by critics, which means it's pretentious as hell, which means audiences will hate it, which means it's going to be my favorite movie of the year. So Tar is starring Cate Blanchett, and she plays a conductor who gets Me Too'd. And is a really like genuinely, from what I've heard, is a horrible person. Like in this, the character is just absolutely terrible. And I'm just like, oh, how's Blanchett going to do this? Is this going to be fun? I think that people are going to get like pissed about this movie because I think there's a lot of like different monologues that are about like the younger generations, which is going to definitely be like, those are going to be saved on TikTok, on conservative TikTok, and people are going to use them in the wrong ways, even though obviously the messaging of this film is slightly different than that. But it's just going to be like, I think this is going to be a very fascinating movie that happens. Tar's coming out, I think, limited theaters like next weekend, and then mainstream or whatever they call it, wide release at the end of October. So this one's coming out soon. Blanchett is like sort of in the lead for Best Actress, but there's one new challenger. But I'll talk about her later. But Tar is definitely my number one.
Tar is 2 hours and 38 minutes, just a heads up. What did you just do with your tongue? Because that was the creepiest shit I've ever seen in my life.
I did not have control over it. I love the audio.
There's
the people
clip.
Listening are going to really love it. No, come on. We did our bit at the beginning. Remember?
keep this one going. Keep this one going.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I was supposed to see Tar the other night. I'm still having leg issues, was unable to get down there. But they're doing another screening of it next week, and I'm like, oh boy. But I want you to know that is the third time I have heard an explanation of this movie, and the third time it's been a different explanation.
Oh hell yes. That's awesome.
So.
No, I'm very worried you're going to come out of this. Is going to be Power of the Dog. You're coming out of this one hating it. I know it already.
Probably.
Maybe not.
Probably.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know your life, but I'll be very curious.
You kind of do. I mentioned the menu. I'm very excited about the menu. This is Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Fiennes, and Nicholas Hoult. It just seems like it is delightfully quirky and weird, and I am super excited about it. I would get one of the big ones out of the way. Halloween Ends. I'm very excited for. I'm nervous, as is well documented on here, that they're putting it on Peacock as well. But I do want to see how they end this. I like the trailers that I've seen, and I really think that Jamie Lee Curtis is going into this with like some fucking strong energy of just being like, "Yo, we're ending this." So, is that on your list?
That isn't, only because I did ones that I think might be good. Like I'm very hey, I want to be wrong, but I'm worried about Halloween Ends. My next one though is Banshees of Inisherin with Martin McDonagh, because the last Martin McDonagh film, Three Billboards, good, not great, and is what catapulted him into Oscar, which is oh man, this is the one they like from him. But this brings back Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. Colin Farrell is also getting some Oscar buzz. This is another one from the festivals where it's people didn't like Tar, people didn't like this one, people didn't like that one. There wasn't a soul that didn't like. Everybody loved Banshees.
I just want to reference the fact that for someone who says standing ovations and shit are stupid at festivals, and reference a lot of weird things at festivals, you're referencing festivals in terms of how good a movie could be.
I'm not saying festivals are standing ovations are still bullshit. I will stand behind that. But that's because it's just strange of timing standing ovations and people standing up for 15 minutes is weird. I'm talking about things I've actually heard from critics on podcasts and stuff. Yes. Oh God. Yeah. No. Standing ovations still bullshit. But I'm excited. It looks funny. It looks weird. It looks kooky. I like Carrie Condon, Barry Keoghan are also in it, and this one is something that's really going to fascinate me. And then, of course, I have the other Best Actress contender now, Michelle Williams in Fabelmans. Everyone's saying this is a top tier Spielberg, which is tough to say nowadays because top tier Spielberg is kind of 90% of Spielberg. But this one is right now in the quote unquote lead for Oscar consideration, meaning the Best Picture, which means it definitely, without a doubt, won't win Best Picture. I think this looks great. I think it looks a lot of fun. It's I've seen the documentary on Spielberg, and that was fascinating because that was him growing up, and this is, I know, a fictionalization of his life, but still, that's there. The Michelle Williams category fraud conversations are going to be bonkers, and this is going to be Kate Winslet from The Reader all over again. But that means that there's a possibility that she might win, actually, because they'd like to give her an Oscar, which I did a 180 from before when I said no chance, but now there's a chance.
I feel like the way that people are treating this movie and the way that they treat Steven Spielberg is sort of how they treat Beyonce, that she could shit in the middle of the street and people would be like, "Oh my gosh." I don't know. I'm not sold on this yet. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm just really not sold on this, and I don't know. I really don't know.
This I totally agree with that stuff. I mean, I think that part of the Spielberg thing is, I think he did have kind of a drought. Now his drought is still making movies that make money and are decent and stuff like that. But he had this quality drought for a while until stuff like West Side Story started to come in, and Bridge of Spies even did that. But before that, there was a large gap where he was making movies, but they were just kind of falling apart, like BFG, things like that. It was just kind of this messy time for him. And so I think people are just happy that he's making good movies again. Now you're right. People are praising this one to high heavens, which that already creates the backlash before the movie even comes out, which that gets tough. But I feel like I'll enjoy it still.
I'm with you there. I want to talk about Bones and All. This is Timothée Chalamet and Taylor Russell, as well as Mark Rylance. I forgot that he was in this, and Chloe Sevigny. This is a cannibalistic love story, essentially. I am super excited for this movie. I just love Timothée Chalamet, and I love movies that take a very odd premise and deliver a serious message, or are able to overcome that ridiculousness to deliver a good movie. And I've heard both sides of this movie. People loving it, people not loving it. Sounds like the performances are incredible either way. So I'm looking forward to that. I do want to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I think the one thing that held me from putting it on this list and everything was that the movie's incredibly fucked up, from what I hear. And so it's like, I mean, cannibalistic love story, so of course it's there. But a lot of people,
I love a good fucked up movie.
I think people are like, oh, Luca Guadagnino, it's gonna be just like Call Me by Your Name, a lovely gay love story, and then it's just like, oh no, this is different.
Well, but even Call Me by Your Name, it's not cannibalistic, but it's problematic in some ways, and
yeah.
I think he's still able to find the magic in that, find the romance and find the good story. I want to burn off the rest of mine real quick. Black Adam, because the power whatever is about to change. And The Rock's been talking about this for 33 years. So I'm just ready for it to get out there, and I hope it's good. Also a big rumor that Henry Cavill Superman is in the post-credit scene. So I'm ready to be heard again. Avatar: The Way of Water. I'm excited for it because it's an Avatar movie, and I love the first Avatar. More excited because apparently with the re-release of Avatar in theaters, there's I think a 5-minute scene from Avatar: Way of Water, and I have read some feedback from people that were just glowing about it, just saying that how is this fake? How is this not real? It looks magical. Which I'm all here for. I love being transported away in these types of movies. The last one, I think this might be neck and neck with The Sun for my most anticipated, is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
There we go.
I can't wait for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. They Good Morning America. So I'm still staying with my parents, and they watch Good Morning America every morning. And tomorrow they're going to be in Ghana, and they're talking about how Ghana served as the inspiration for Wakanda in Black Panther, and they played part of the Wakanda Forever trailer today. And you could show me a second of that trailer and I would get chills. I'm just so excited for it, and I really can't wait.
I am so excited for us because we only had one overlapping movie, and it was Wakanda Forever. But that's friggin' bonkers, dude. That's awesome. I love it. Okay, so I agree. Wakanda Forever. I see the trailer every friggin' time in the theater when I'm in the theater. No complaints. Still love it. I don't want them to make a second. They're gonna make a second trailer. It's gonna suck. But I just want them to keep this one trailer and just hold it dear. But there's gonna be another one. Another one is Women Talking. This is the women of the Mennonite community that get together and have to deal with a sexual assault that occurred. This is literally that, women talking. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this is received, although, people are seeming to love it. And the cast is absolutely ridiculous. They've been having tremendous problems of what they're going to do to run Best Supporting Actress, Best Actress. Sure. And they're going to eat each other, which sucks, but it's just going to be, that's bones and all. But it's just going to go nuts there. My next one, and this is great because I think I just always have to find out the Palme d'Or after last year's Titan, and the year before that was Parasite. It's just right now it's been a couple of years of just greatness. And Triangle of Sadness, which is from the director, his name's escaped me, but he did Force Majeure, which was the movie that was of the original Downhill. And I loved that movie so much. This is an English-speaking movie. I heard it's insanely funny, but also just straight up insane. I'm looking forward to how nuts it is. The next one is one I am worried about. It's the only one on this list that I'm actually quite worried about, and it's The Whale. Mainly because of its controversy that's surrounding it, where obviously someone who's not as fat is wearing a fat suit, and someone who is straight is playing someone gay, which is okay. That's something that can happen. That is something that exists. But those two things going together might be interesting. I heard it's basically based on a play, so it's kind of a one-seater. I still am very excited to see what Fraser does in this. I really am looking forward to that.
I'm in it for the performances. I will say that one thing that I heard or read was that it really is, for lack of a better term, fat phobic in a lot of ways, where it just really goes in on fat people are destroying their lives and are sick and all that stuff. And I think that's such a disturbing way to think. just really discriminatory in a lot of ways, and it just really bothers me. So I'm hoping that I can overcome that when I see it.
I think it's good. It's going to be tough to overcome. I mean, if anyone could do it, I think Aronofsky, like we talked about this, he has the ability to see the human. And it seems like he's not doing that in this, so that's going to be a problem. But he's done it in the past. I maybe after this, I'll just rewatch The Wrestler and be happy again. Well, in a way, be happy. And my last one is because the trailer just came out. It's a Damien Giselle. I've yet to hate it. Babylon, baby. Damien Giselle hitting old Hollywood. Let's go. It's gonna be nuts. I'm so excited.
That was a mushroom trip of a trailer.
I saw it in theaters the other day, and I was just like, have you noticed this when you watch the trailer on YouTube or something like that? You get so much more when you watch the trailer in theaters.
Oh yeah,
because I got that in Babylon, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this is bonkers. I'm saying bonkers a lot, but I'm okay with it.
And it's funny because everyone that you listed, I'm excited for every movie that you listed. So
same with yours. Like that list was like legit. I almost put the menu just does. I don't know what it is about the menu. It doesn't seem like a real movie.
The marketing hasn't been great for it.
It's just like I see that one trailer. I remember I saw that one trailer before I heard anything about it. Like, we do movie news on here. Wouldn't that have crossed our desk?
Yep.
But all of a sudden, like, there's this trailer of this movie with a lot of famous people. And I'm just, like, so confused that this exists. And now I'm like, I mean, yeah, I'm in. But, like, what is it?
Waiting for the, as you know, waiting for the list of what's going to be at the Philadelphia Film Festival next month. And this reeks of a Philadelphia Film Festival movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, come on, hit me with it. Can't wait. All right, let's dive into how we wrap up every show and we talk about our rants and our raves. And my quick rave is once again for a show called Will and Grace, mainly because it speaks to me in so many ways. And I'm going to share the clip that really speaks to me that I put on TikTok, which you may have seen, may not have seen. But here is the clip.
I can't believe you guys are playing tennis today. It's a beautiful sunny day.
Oh,
You should be some movies.
That's me. I mean, the show gets me. I identify with it in so many ways. I just absolutely love it.
It's funny. There's a joke with the laugh track, but I probably have said that with sincerity, like once in a while, like without a doubt. It's like, oh, it'd be great to see a movie today. My is also a show. It's also a rave. And this is the show on Hulu called Reboot. And this is starring Keegan-Michael Key, Johnny Knoxville, Judy Greer, Paul Reiser, and Rachel Bloom, as well as many others. But they are rebooting this like crappy 90s sitcom kind of like, like 4-camera show called Step Right Up. And it's... I don't want to say too much because there's like a fun reveal in the first episode, but pretty much Rachel Bloom is like the new writer that wants to do it. It is such a great takedown of the way we ingest TV comedy today, and also a takedown of the way we ingested it back in the day. And neither of them are on the right side of it. And it's kind of great to just watch like both sides get picked over. Like one of the lines is Keegan-Michael Key says, like, or his agent says, yeah, but is it still funny? He's like, you wouldn't believe it. I read the entire thing. I didn't laugh once, but it was the funniest thing I ever read. It's like there's like things like that, which is just like, that is actually like that is it completely decides what we're going through right now with comedy. And I just really, really loved this show. The first episode was a lot of setup and kind of funny, not great. Second episode is where it really starts to go kicking. So watch 2 in a row. If you don't like it after 2, you have my permission to leave. But go for the first 2. It is so funny. Like even like Johnny Knoxville, who's like, not really like actor. He is exactly who he's supposed to be in the cast. Keegan-Michael Key is like the fancy like Yale actor and stuff. They all like really do play their own great parts. They try to bring back like a daughter who was starring on this HBO Max show, Fuck Buddy Mountain. And I think that there's this like, and they're actually redoing it. They're rebooting it on Hulu. So, Hulu's having like their little jabs at themselves, which I see that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I see you, Hulu. You're a corporation. Shut up. But also still funny.
Isn't it from the writers of Modern Family?
It's one of the creators of Modern Family. Yeah. And so like, it's great because it's like, okay, we know it's in good hands because that's a show that sort of redefined the sitcom. kept the old things, brought something to the new. So this guy's like kind of like has one foot in both lands, and so he's doing that in this show as well.
That's awesome.
And this show it doesn't totally do this thing where it's like, oh, the show is becoming its own show and everything like that. Like, it does do that a little bit though. And I kind of appreciate the fact that it only is lightly meta, because everything is like shoved up its own ass these days. But that is just the one time where it's like, oh, you're just lightly meta. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the show. It's an absolute blast so far.
It sounds it. It definitely sounds it. All right. Before we wrap up, let's talk about the top new releases this week. We have Blonde hitting Netflix tomorrow. Bros hits theaters on Friday. Smile hits theaters on Friday. Hocus Pocus 2 hits Disney Plus on Friday. I wanted to talk about that tonight because I did watch it. The social embargo is up, but the review embargo lifts on Thursday morning. So I'll have a full review there. Yeah, but I'll just tell you, thumbs up. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm very, very pleased.
So it's interesting. I got to just say this one thing, because I heard it from you, the thumbs up, and I kind of just rolled my eyes. I'm like, of course Joe likes it. He was always going to like it and stuff. But then I heard from like some of the
number one. Fuck off.
No, I don't know. In a good way.
I was very worried about it.
But I will say, like, when I first felt it, I thought I was like, all right, okay, Joe likes it. You know, he's a big fan of the Hocus Pocus franchise. Then there was some like snobby reviewers on like podcasts and stuff that I listened to, and they were just like, guys, this is actually really good. Like, they've been like bashing Hocus Pocus 2 for the past month or so. Yep. And they're just like, no, this is good. We're all wrong. And I'm like, ooh, this is interesting.
The social reactions really kind of shocked me, because I at the end of it, I sat there for a second, was like, is this what you just said? Like, is it just because I've been waiting for Hocus Pocus 2 for the past like however many years? And I was gonna whatever. But then I posted my reaction, then I started seeing others, and I was like, oh wow, like, okay, they have something here. So I'm excited for people to see that. The Greatest Beer Run Ever with Zac Efron and his new face hits theaters and Apple TV Plus this Friday. And My Best Friend's Exorcism hits Prime Video. I have a screener of that. I'm probably going to watch it tonight.
This is a nightmare. I need to like have another weekend where I don't have anything to do, because I need to be watching all of this. There's so much right now.
There's a lot of content. And you need to catch up on Dahmer. Keep going, because
I'll keep going.
That's my nighttime show, so I'll be done in like 2 or 3 nights. So it puts me to sleep. You know, nice serial
I was gonna
killer.
say that's the worst nighttime show I think I've ever heard.
There was just memes about that too, about like how psychotic people are that like watch murder shows and then go to bed. Murder shows, also known as true crime. Sean, I'll talk to you soon. The Guy at the Movies podcast is a joint venture between Math Teacher Movies and Guy at the Movies. You can catch new episodes weekly right here wherever you're listening to this one. Subscribe so you never miss a beat.